Yo, this your boy EC22, and this is the Fab Weather Fan channel. But this segment is called Let's Talk About It. So we're going to talk about it real quick. Yo, before we go any further, like, subscribe, share, but most of all, leave comments because it still is the Fab Weather Fan channel and podcast. But this segment is just called Let's Talk About It. But leave comments because we want you to do what? Join this conversation. And I wanted to come on a little early because there's some things that I wanted to address, and I didn't want to take up the time that we have on the Fab Weather Fan podcast that'll be coming up right at 6 o'clock p.m. So if you're watching, stay tuned for the official podcast. But this is just a Let's Talk About It segment that I want to get out early. If you saw the title, yes, keep politics and gambling away from sports. We want to talk about it, so let's talk about it. Listen, politics, when we breed politics into sports, I'm just going to say it like it is, right? It causes distraction and a lack of focus on both sides, right? And I get sometimes, as human beings, right, we can be tending and be into politics or watching sports, and then sometimes we can mingle the two. And you're going to hear this statement echoed a lot of times, because I want you to get it right. Sports is a place where we can have an escape from all of it, right? It didn't matter how we voted or who we voted for or anything that's political, right? Now, there are some social issues that I personally think it's okay to make aware of in sports, but there are some people who think that's political and they don't want that a part of their sports, right? And that's your prerogative. I understand it because with the Black Lives Matter awareness, stuff like that. So people decided they didn't want to watch sports because all the sports, basketball and a football are joined into that. So I totally understand that perspective, right? But what I'm saying is that, I get us having a place, an escape to where we just don't have to get involved with anything other than just fanning out over our favorite team and just loving sports in its purest form. I think that's just the beautiful part about sports because competition, yes, it can get a little ugly. Competition can breed a little aggression, but at the same time, man, competition is healthy. You learn how to win, you learn how to lose, right? And as fans, if we can't play the sports, we learn how to, or supposed to be learning, right, to be respectful and adults about the wins and lost columns, but some fans get a little bit more rowdy than others, stuff like that. But it's all healthy, right? It's all competition. It's a great escape. It's a break from monotony, man. We can go and enjoy ourselves and keep things about the sport. That's why we love sports, right? When it comes down to the gambling side of things, and this is where that some of you may get turned off because you may like the gambling. All right, you still got the Prize Pick, DraftKings, I think Underdog, and so many other out there that offers you an opportunity to make some money betting on the game, side betting. We used to have the football pot, stuff like that back in the day, and it was just an opportunity, right, to make a little extra cash, whatever, and to test out your brilliance if you're that smart. You have to pick 'em challenge that some people pay to get in, right, on different people things. And listen, that type of gambling, if it's done with purity, I guess I guess it's okay. But I still have to put it under the same umbrella of that it can be distracting and we can lose focus on both sides. Because here it is, and I'm not gonna have to go on a long rant about it, but then the day, like, you chose the person in fantasy football, if you're in a paid league, which is basically gambling, you got a person that up and over and under on Prize Picks, or DraftKings or whatever, or you got numbers on the football pot, and you want your team to win if you're a fan of a certain team. But now here you are, but you got an extra certain amount of players on fantasy, or you got an over and under, whatever. Like if you have a favorite quarterback and you say he's supposed to go under the yards, but you want him to win the game, how do you balance it too? I don't need him to have no more passing yards because I want to get my money. But however, I want my person to win the game. You see what I'm saying? It's so much to balance. There's so many emotions to balance, but yet we have it, right? I am an avid fantasy football player. And in all transparency, I'm in 3 paid leagues. Just call it what it is, right? I do DraftKings, right? So I'm not DraftKings, but Prize Picks. I do Prize Picks. So I understand, the ideal of wanting to make money, but I'm gonna be honest with you, even though I play Prize Picks, and I know we don't want sports gambling, it does take away kind of somewhat of the feel of watching the game when I want a player to have over and under, right? But I'm gonna tell you, I've been doing fantasy for some years now, And I started this thing just doing free leagues. I won a free league, got close into certain free leagues. And to me, and just me, I don't speak for everybody, but for me, it was so much fun just jumping up and grabbing the phone, making sure my team was lined up without paying, right? Once I joined leagues that I had to pay in, honestly, I wasn't that engaged. Number one, because me as a sports fan, right? I know as a podcaster and as a fan of sports, I couldn't allow my emotions to run rapid to take away from the sports. So me personally, I was checked out of every fantasy league I've been in that I had to pay money into. And you would think that's weird. If you pay money, you should be more invested. Like I say, for me, it was weird. To me, it was different because I'm a podcaster, because I love to do what I do. I couldn't allow my emotion to be tied to a game based on a player I had on the fantasy league, right? Or a person I bet over and under, over or under in a prize pick, right? So it does take a little away and distraction from the game. And that's all I'm saying about that, right? But for those of you who love it and like it, listen, I totally understand it, right? But we got to make the main thing the main thing. Get back to loving sports. Now we're getting into the real issue. We just recently, last week or the week before last, had all these situations where these coaches and players got caught up in this whole gambling ring, right? Some were just in a poker game that was kind of rigged, and so that was under an FBI investigation. But then when you have players, current players, in suspicion of shaving points to help meet the over and under in some of these DraftKings, that's a problem. That's a distraction. That is a complete distraction, right? When it comes down to the gambling, right? And I don't think anybody should have a problem with that, right? Because when you have guys that make millions of dollars and they getting caught in these illegal situations, it just disrupts everything. It disrupts the sport we love when we have to hear about it, right? Especially when you got players and coaches that have to get suspended, and now we're not going to have the best talent available for our squad because our coaches and players got entangled in this nonsense, right? I'm gonna step back a little bit and go back to the political side, right? Just recently, Stephen A. Smith, who's a known sports media analyst person, and then you have Jasmine Crockett, who is a politician. You know, Stephen A. has took to his own platform, the Stephen A. Smith Show, and he has his own segment to where he does jump into politics. But the problem with that is that. And listen, I'm not telling Stephen A. how to create his content or how he live his life. But when you see the situation between him and Jasmine, this is the distraction, and this is the loss of focus I'm talking about. Because regardless of what Stephen A. venture into from here on out, we still know Stephen A. Smith as a sports media analyst person. We don't know him as a politician. And when we're clicking on YouTube and we're clicking on all these different things, when we see Stephen A. Smith, we're inclined to, if you like his opinion, you click on something and now you get politics. Now, if you like his opinion on all things, that's totally your prerogative. I get it. But there has to be, the elephant has to be addressed. I don't know how well versed Stephen A. Smith is in the politics. I know he read some things, talks to people, and he may be well versed more than you or I if you're not into it. But is he more well versed in how to handle that field more than the person who actually spends their day-to-day in it? That's the problem, then the distraction. You know, you get away from talking about sports, and then now you're talking about politics. And because the way you debate in sports should be different. Your personality that we've grown to love in sports, or some grown to hate in sports, should be different than that of politics. But you're one person. I don't know how more you can be authentic or unauthentic. You're going to eventually be the same person bleeding into one organ. So now when I'm watching First Take, let me tell you, I've done this. When I hear Stephen A. make his, give his opinion or his perspective or takes, my mind is going back like, is he really serious, or this is a politician rhetoric? Because some of his takes now I feel don't have no merit behind. I think he's just saying stuff kind of like what I believe politicians do. Just saying something, and the skill set to debate it gives him some type of validity that he have a one-up on people. And I just think that's like, just keep it about sports, right? Even your personality, even your character, even the character you created, right? Pick a side, because one's going to bleed into the other, right? You goes on and you challenge Jasmine Crockett on something you completely don't know nothing about, but that's what we expect in sports. right? To challenge each other. You don't challenge that politician. It's the people that she represents should challenge her. You need to keep your opinions to yourself. And I'm just throwing it out there. Not that I'm, like I said, have all the answers or solutions, but I'm saying that is the blend. That is the crossover that we do not like. I don't like personally as a podcast and content creator. So as a media person, I felt like I had to get it off my chest. Now, so we talked about politics. We talked about gambling. The whole idea of this is what I'm trying to talk about is why we love sports, right? We love sports, and I said it earlier, but I'm going to expound on this more because this is the great escape. This is the freedom from it all. I can just really, if I'm watching football, I can just zone out and let all my worries deal with them in the next 3.5 hours. You know what I'm saying? Or whether it's football, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, tennis, whatever sport you're into, right? When you turn on that game or when you go to that venue, this is a place for you to unwind. If you're taking your kids out there to play, if you yourself are still athletic and play, right? I mean, you're talking about being able to go out and just play and a whole 4 hour round of golf and just free my mind from everything else, man. That is why we love sports. I don't want to go to the golf course and have to get into a political conversation. No, let me bump my music and smoke my cigar and just chill out and just enjoy the sport. When I want to go play basketball, I don't want to have a sideline conversation about politics, about what's going on in the world. I just want to be dudes just talking about what dudes do, just stunting and talking crazy and a bunch of nothing, laughing and joking. And that's all I want, right? For me personally, if your inner circle of people like that, that's fine. But once again, now I'm going to bring this thing to a close, and this is the reason why we love sports. There is a lot of things happening in this world, especially in the world of AI. And you know it, artificial intelligence, AI is taking over by the storm. And it's affecting a lot of businesses. I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Amazon just mentioned that they're letting go thousands of people, 30,000 people because they're going to backfill a position with AI or whatever, whatever, but there's the real thing going on. A lot of people are losing their jobs to make way for the future of AI and stuff like that. And, and I totally understand. It's hard when you have people out there that lose them. And the reason why that's important because the one place it cannot affect is sports, right? Now, we can use AI to enhance sports. We can use AI to help give us, I do it sometimes when I'm trying to get one place in a hub, or I'm trying to break down some information. I can just speak to ChatGPT and get all the information in one spot. Or I can do the hard way, just search the World Wide Web for 4 or 5 hours. So either or, right? So there is a place for it, but you cannot have robots on the football field or the basketball field or on the baseball diamond or in the soccer, you know what I'm saying? Nobody wants to see robots, right? And if you do, well, they do have a little robot competition that we like to go see sometimes, but they're still man controlled, right? But I'm just saying that AI can't take over that, and it won't take over. That's one space we have to where we like, you know what? This will always be a human-driven sport, till we get to see human versus human, team versus team interaction, and there's nothing like either being an athlete, going out there to play basketball or whatever sport you like to do, or having your team and just being able just to root and have that just genuine love and fanfare for your favorite team. That's the reason why we love sports. And that's the reason why we don't need all this extra attention around sports, because it just, once again, it completely distracts and it completely lose focus on both sides. A politician can lose focus on what they have to do, like Jasmine Crockett having to go and respond to a Stephen A. That's loss of focus. We don't get into those wars, right? Or a sports analyst decide they want to jump into politics and address certain things over there, and now it's bleeding over into what you're doing your day job. It's a distraction, right? Two guys are friendly competition at a gym, and all of a sudden their political views different. Now the energy changes in the room. That shouldn't happen, right? It just shouldn't happen. But anyway, that's your boy C22. I just want to get that out there. So As we talk about those guys who've been arrested for sports gambling, listen, it's still alleged. We don't know. We're going to talk about it deeper on this podcast coming up in about 15 minutes. So if you've been watching, stay tuned. The Fat Weather Fan is coming up. But once again, I just wanted to get that out there. Reason why we love sports. Once again, politics, gambling do not have a way of sports. And thank God AI can't take over our athletics. This boy C22. Join us at the top of the hour, 6 p.m. for the Fat Weather Fan channel. And once again, like, subscribe, share, leave comments. But most of all, y'all, you know what we say. We are